Do you ever dream of a perfect world? A world where no one has to needlessly suffer at the hand of long-lasting misery, and humanity has finally liberated itself from its shackles, whatever they are, now able to let its wildest dreams roam free? Yes, you have. Don't frickin' lie to me. Well, today I will talk a little about that. So sit back on your chair, bed, or pleasure cube and relax as I inject into your genetic code some of my personal observations on utopias. If you happen to exist anywhere after the 16th century, then you'll likely have a rough idea of what they are. If not, then watch the intro again. And this is exactly why I ask you. If you were tasked with creating a practically eternal utopia for our entire species, what would you design? And no, you can't refuse because of your low faith in humanity. You've got bills to pay. Some of you may be a bit overwhelmed, so I'll give you a first few tips on how to get there. A utopia is a perfect world, right? Well, then your first step is to find the imperfections in our world and then figure out ways to solve them. So let's do that. War. War sucks. It's a colossal waste of life and resources and merely serves as a primitive means of diplomacy, which only exists because the untamed animalistic instinct of our population insists that we still live in a tropical zero-sum game where the weak must die. But we're not a bunch of CHLCAs anymore, so we should cut that out and wait! Wait a second. How the hell are we supposed to eradicate war for good if it depends on such a deep-rooted part of our psychology? Well, technology, of course. But Torben, you plead with sincerity, you can't simply throw the word technology around like it's a magic spell. We don't have the tech to change our psychology. That's impossible. Why, dear viewer, you're completely right, except for a tiny little baby detail, and that, friends, is time. Just because the scope of a technological advancement seems way big, does not mean that it is impossible. The thing about knowledge is that it only ends with extinction itself. The combined intelligence of our species is constantly evolving, and there is nothing that you can do about it since you also contribute to it by growing up and learning new things. So all that we need to do is to just avoid extinction, which is actually much easier than a lot of you think it is. Yes, we can screw up, and we can screw up big, but to screw up so big that all of our knowledge is irreparably destroyed and none of the 8 billion of us remains to tell the story, we'd almost have to screw up on purpose. My point is, the ability to modify our brains is not a complete absurdity. Even if that technology will only be here centuries from now, that's still sometime, and sometime isn't never, which means that it is achievable. Back to where we left off, yes, ending war itself. We decide to use this technology and definitively tame our primitive, violent, self-absorbed, irrationally biased tendencies. And now nobody wants to fight in or declare any wars. World peace, hooray! Now let's find other things to fix. How about putting an end to tyranny? Wait, but we already fixed that with the last fix. Since we eliminated the human instinct to rally around the flag, I guess no one sees a point in unconditionally supporting their repressive government. Or any government. Nationalism just ceased to exist? Hold on. What about bigotry? Let's end prejudice against our fellow human beings for good and make everyone's opinion of people they know nothing about just as basic and neutral as their knowledge of the person's character, completely isolated from ethnicity or sexuality or gender. Oh wait, we fixed that too. I'm starting to think that a lot of our problems are actually just caused by people who never grew out of their instincts and therefore became thorns on a society that is fundamentally based on cooperation. One could argue that these traits are valuable, integral parts of our being, and that we would forever cease to be human if we lost them. My answer to that is no. You dumb. As a concept, humanity is a very fuzzy thing. If you asked anyone on the street what makes a human, there would be vastly different answers, ranging from the mildly cheesy sentimentalism of a high school student passing by with a latte in hand to the cold hard biology of a middle-aged university professor. A human is a lot of things, but if there's something that a human should not be, it's selfish, biased, and apathetic. Those who say that this will never change or doesn't need to change likely share these traits themselves and just don't want to change with it, or are simply folks who happen to believe them. The only value that humanity has is the value that we give to it, and we should not be afraid to change something as subjective as this for the sake of a world where all of us suffer less. That, in my opinion, is why utopias are an impossibility, at least for now. It's not because we're human, it's because as long as there are people in our society who don't want to contribute, someone will always suffer needlessly through nature's outdated game. In all honesty, I don't believe that these kinds of people are entirely to blame for their own behavior. Most of these traits pass through several generations, and when a young, developing brain is taught to think in a harmful way, then it will act harmful in adulthood. Not to mention the harmful people that result from social problems caused by others like them. Every one of us deserves some level of empathy, but passively accepting this behavior is no better than condoning it. We need to do something about it so we don't go extinct before all of us can find a way to be truly happy. And while a definitive solution is unlikely to come before we can modify our own psychology, don't let this make you feel like crap. Any effort to counteract this issue by being kind and considerate is a step towards utopia, however small it may be. Hello again! This is an outro! Hi! Thank you so much for watching until the end. Sorry if I took a little while to finish this video, which, by the way, is part of a little series where I will talk about stuff that I can't really fit into a story time format. If you liked it, you can expect more videos like this to come out occasionally. If you didn't, that's okay. I'll be returning to my usual style of content after this. Also, I made a few social media accounts so you can stay updated on how the channel is doing, among other things. Anywho, this outro is getting too long, so farewell, I guess.